told me that he'd been asked to delete an email that had been sent in error because it was meant for Janice, but ended up going to Joni instead. Since they both had Jay's names, Marcus made the mistake of sending the email to his wife when it was intended for his mistress. Correct? Big yes. Greg told me that because it was intra-office, he could pull it back if the recipient hadn't opened it yet, but if it had, he couldn't this time. However, he was able to do so, and he felt that there was no harm or anything. After 2 years, he received another call from Marcus asking if he could do it again because he had made the same mistake twice. Greetings, devoted brothers and sisters in the Lord. Today we are discussing accusations that are upending the foundation of Daystar Television Network, one of the most well-known Christian television networks in the world. The network was established by the late Marcus Lamb and his wife Joni Lamb, a couple that many Christians admired and respected for their leadership in using the media to spread the gospel, but now their legacy is under serious scrutiny. What's going on behind the scenes might leave you speechless. You see, Daystar had a spotless image for years with gorgeous studios, passionate preaching, heartwarming stories of faith, and that distinctive Christian charm. However, as we're beginning to learn, there may be a darker side to that polished image, one that is full of secrets, financial mismanagement, lies, and betrayal, even among family members. Let's start with the news that's currently making headlines. Jonathan Lamb and his wife, Susie Lamb, have come forward with extremely serious accusations. These are not outsiders or critics from the outside world. Rather, they are Marcus and Joni's own children. According to Jonathan and Susie, the people who raised them and helped create this Christian media empire covered up abuse within their own family. An individual they trusted was accused of abusing their child, and rather than thoroughly investigating the incident and protecting the child, they claimed that Marcus and Joni tried to conceal it. That's right, they said that they manipulated the facts and tried to twist the story to make the accused appear innocent. They even allegedly threatened jobs and used their influence to protect their own image while the victims suffered in silence. Audio recordings of the abuse have been shared online, paint a picture that's difficult to ignore. You can hear people being coerced and even intimidated into silence. You can hear the fear in their voices and the manipulation in their words. The more you listen, the more you begin to wonder how far the Lambs went to keep their secrets hidden. Now let's go back in time because, shockingly, this isn't the first time this has happened at Daystar. In 2010, Marcus Lamb was involved in a major scandal when it was revealed that he had cheated on Joni. The news shocked everyone at the time, and they made a big deal out of it on air. There were sobs and promises to rebuild, and it seemed like the entire world was watching as Marcus and Joni attempted I'm sorry, I've asked God to forgive me years ago. I asked my dear Joni, and when this first came out, I told her, honey, I only want us to stay together if we truly love one another. A few years ago, Marcus and I went through a difficult time in our marriage, and I found out that he was having an emotional relationship, if you will, with someone, and that it had turned into an improper relationship. I accept full responsibility for this because Joni has no blame, and neither does the other person. Another, not for the sake of the ministry, not even for the sake of our children. And ladies and gentlemen, I adore this woman. They claim to have reconciled and forgiven one another, but this is the part that many people were unaware of until recently. The woman who was involved in that scandal, the one who had the affair with Marcus, is now speaking out, and what she says is even more concerning than the affair itself. She claims that hush money was used to keep her mouth shut, that there was pressure behind the scenes to ensure that the truth never surfaced, and that Joni was fully aware of what was happening, but instead of confronting the situation honestly, this woman says they decided to put their platform and brand above the truth. So now we have two big stories about alleged cover-ups, both involving the same people, and both implying that Daystar has a long history of concealing information when it suits them. The consequences of this time could be even more severe, because we're talking about potential child abuse, where people in leadership positions put their reputation and power before doing the right thing. What's so tragic is that Daystar was meant to be a place of hope, a ministry founded on faith, forgiveness, and the teachings of Jesus Christ. But now for many viewers and supporters, all of that is being questioned. People are wondering if we can still trust it. Did the leaders we looked up to truly protect their family more than their faith? How deep do these cover-ups go? For the Lamb children, Jonathan and Susie, speaking out has not been easy. They have faced criticism, isolation, and loss of family ties, but they have persisted in sharing their story because, as they say, their daughter's safety and the truth are more important than protecting anyone's public image. As more people come forward, including former employees, extended family members, and even past victims, the picture becomes even more apparent. This story is so significant and tragic because faith-based platforms like Daystar have enormous influence, reach millions of people, ask for money, share God's word, and frequently present themselves as moral role models. However, when the leaders behind those platforms fail, choosing secrecy over transparency and manipulation over truth, it not only harms their network, but also the entire body of believers who trusted them, as well as victims who weren't protected. It means betraying their values and ignoring serious wrongs. We're not talking about a simple mistake or poor decision-making. We're talking about a culture of silence, where problems are swept under the rug and image is everything. Listen to the clip to hear about my journey as the director of marketing at Daystar. It started with hope and admiration, but ended with heartbreak and trauma. It tells the story of how I was duped, coerced, and eventually asked to lie by Joni Lamb herself, and the devastating fallout that followed. In June 2005, I joined the Daystar Television Network as the director of marketing. During the application process, I was interviewed by Marcus Lamb, Daystar's co-founder, and Janice Smith, vice president of programming and sales. When I asked Marcus and Janice about Daystar's moral standards, they assured me that the company was committed to the highest Christian values, emphasizing chastity, modesty, and purity. These representations convinced me that Daystar was a place where my faith and professional life could coexist harmoniously, but I was unaware that both Marcus and Janice were hiding a dark secret for 2 years. The interviews were thorough, and as a devout Christian, I was deeply invested in making sure that the company operated with moral integrity. Daystar's employment brochure even quoted 1 Thessalonians 5:12, which states, "We beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you and are over you in the Lord." At Daystar, I received recognition for my professionalism and contribution. However, in August 2007, an employee informed me of emails that revealed a shocking truth. Marcus Lamb and Janice Smith had been having an illicit sexual affair for 7 years. The emails contained explicit messages and plans to use Daystar's resources to arrange covert trips. The employee who found the emails shared them with me and another colleague before quitting, and reading them was heartbreaking. The 2 individuals who had reassured me of Daystar's commitment to Christian values were acting in ways that were wholly at odds with those values. Marcus even wrote to Janice that he couldn't wait to make her. The next Mrs. Marcus Lamb was unsure of what to do, so I turned to Fred and Anna Kendall, seasoned marriage counselors, who had frequently appeared on Daystar's flagship program Celebration, for advice. They suggested that Marcus should resign from his leadership role and seek marriage counseling with his wife Joni, but the Kendalls refused to confront Marcus directly, so it was up to us to decide how to handle the situation. After looking over the emails, we decided to tell Bill Trail, Joni's father and a Daystar manager. Joni called to thank me for bringing the affair to light, but her response raised doubts about the email, suggested that she might have already been aware of her husband's adultery after the revelation. Joni demanded that Janice Smith leave Daystar right away in order to hasten her departure. Daystar bought her a house and signed a questionable consulting contract that paid her large sums of money, even though she didn't provide any services worth that amount. This hush money arrangement guaranteed Janice's silence, while Daystar made up a story about her departure. When questions about Janice's departure surfaced, Joni instructed me to take part in the cover-up, and I was supposed to tell the staff and the public about the obvious deceit and moral hypocrisy. Unacceptable, and I was unable to reconcile my faith with Daystar's leadership's action. On May 31st, 2008, I resigned from Daystar, but the trauma, betrayal by leaders I had admired, and pressure to lie left me deeply scarred. Over time, the emotional distress became unbearable, leading to severe depression, and by November 2010, I was in such a dark place that I was involuntarily committed to a mental institution. Meanwhile, my attorney wrote to Daystar's lawyer, John Lynch, stating that I and 2 other former employees were taking legal action, and that the fallout from this revelation would soon be broadcast on national television. When Daystar aired a special episode of Celebration on November, in which Marcus Lamb confessed to cheating on his wife, I accept full responsibility. Joni has no blame, neither does the other person. It's all on me. I'm so sorry. I've asked God for forgiveness years ago. I asked my beloved Joni, and when this first surfaced, I told her, "Honey, I only want us to stay together if we truly love one another, not for the sake of the ministry or even for the sake of our children." And ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate how Kendall and the other guests commended Marcus for his courage and candor, but the storyline was full of lies. Marcus said the affair was short, but it was actually spanned 7 years, and he also falsely claimed to have resigned from preaching for a long time. Janice Smith's portrayal as innocent was also misleading, because she was a senior officer who knew about the misuse of Daystar's resources. Daystar's response to the scandal was a masterclass in damage control,
The organization leaders manipulated the story to protect the network and maintain their reputation. The truth was much more troubling. Donations intended to support a Christian ministry were instead used to fund covert trips, hush money, and a dishonest public relations campaign. The scandal at Daystar Television Network is so upsetting because it's not just about one man who made a mistake, it's about a broken system that allowed that mistake to be hidden, excused, and even defended. It raises a question that many people are afraid to ask aloud. This is about faith, integrity, truth, and doing the right thing, especially when no one is looking. You're told to trust people who stand on stage with the Bible in hand, preaching about morality and value. You're encouraged to invest your time, energy, and money in ministries that claim to help people and spread the love of Christ. What happens when Christian leaders don't live up to their rhetoric? Let's face it, it's easy to be shocked when you learn about infidelity, cover-ups, lies, and even using donor funds to pay hush money. However, the real problem isn't just bad behavior, it's a complete lack of accountability. How did this happen in a ministry that claims to be led by God? How did people who talk about righteousness and holiness get away with lying to their staff, donors, and viewers for years? It makes us all pause and reflect on the world of faith-based organizations, particularly those with large followings and millions of dollars in donations. They trust that their money will be used to help the poor, spread the gospel, and advance God's kingdom. When that trust is betrayed, donations are used for private vacations, payoffs, and scandal cover. This is not only disappointing, but it is devastating, and it affects not only the donors but also the employees of the organization who joined because they believed in something greater than themselves. Imagine being a young, devout Christian who gets hired for your dream job at a ministry you've always admired, only to discover later that the top executives are engaging in the very things they preach against. Imagine being asked to fabricate information to support a false narrative just to protect someone's reputation is not only uncomfortable, it's soul-crushing, but the truth is that this kind of corruption cannot continue without silence. When people are afraid to speak up or are told that questioning authority is the same as questioning God, that's when things get dangerous. So where do we go from here? First, if you donate to a ministry or any faith-based organization, you have every right to ask where your money is going. Don't feel bad about asking for receipts. You're being a good steward, just like the Bible teaches. If a ministry is offended when you ask questions are a red flag, those who are doing the right thing won't mind showing you how they spend their money. Secondly, if you work for a Christian organization, keep in mind that your loyalty should be to the truth, not to others. If something feels wrong, it probably means that you deserve to work for a company where your leaders are honest, humble, and live up to the same standards they expect of you. If they don't, it's okay to speak up. In fact, it's necessary. Most importantly, as believers, we have a responsibility. It's not enough to say, well, no one's perfect. Yes, we all make mistakes, but leadership comes with higher expectations, and when someone claims to speak for God, their actions carry even more weight. We should be praying for our leaders, but we should. The hard truth is that if we ignore scandals like this, if we make excuses or turn a blind eye, we're contributing to the problem. We can't keep allowing people to misuse the name of God for personal gain, and we can't keep acting like everything is fine when it's not. We need change, we need transparency, and we need a new generation of leaders who aren't afraid to tell the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. This moment isn't just about Daystar, it's about all of us. It's about determining what kind of church, what kind of community, and what kind of future we want to build. One where silence shields corruption, or one that, yes, let's pray for healing and restoration because truth makes us free. But we should also demand the truth because faith without accountability isn't faith at all. It's just a